I think I owe Dr. Chaffee an apology. And I'm going to retract some of the things that I said in my last video about 3 weeks ago regarding the whole Dr. Chaffee, Dr. Lisa thing. And I left a little bit of wiggle room for myself in that video, if you noticed. And I'll clarify what I mean by that. And I'll also update you about my progress in reclaiming my health after a dumpster fire of 2025, what my diet is like, what my results are, supplementation, that kind of thing, and my routines, my physical habits and routines that I go through. And also a really important spiritual lesson I've picked up on. I notice a lot of carnivores struggled in 2025. It's interesting how we all tend to struggle at the same time with very independent things happening in our own lives, but they all seem to happen kind of together, and many of us are believers, and I've got some observations about that, so hang tight. If you are new to this channel, hello, I am Texas Donna, and I am at level 56, as Shailene Johnson says on her beauty channel, and I am a menopausal woman, and I am trying to optimize my health during this transitional time in my life using the carnivore diet, and I'm really flawed at it, but I try to share my experiences and big failings and successes as I stumble along this journey. So I hope something about my experience is helpful to you today. The first thing that I want to do is talk about this whole Dr. Chaffee and carnivore Dr. Lisa Wiedemann thing that came out. So she started adding carbs back into her diet, and she said she had some good results, and that she had been struggling on carnivore for a long time. She didn't really clue in any of her viewers in that struggle until well into her redo of her diet. So Dr. Chaffee put out some statements or questions or suppositions about it, and that made her upset. And where I came in my last video about that was this frustration about male doctors not understanding women's bodies, women's hormones, how our hormones rebel against us, all of that. And because I had just experienced so much of that in my life, so I was frustrated with Dr. Chaffee. However, I said in that video, and this is where my downfall was, is that I didn't watch Dr. Chaffee's words myself. So I have since learned, first of all, that he deleted whatever post that was out of respect, as I understand it, for Dr. Lisa, and that some of his questions, in fact, were valid. And I watched a number of videos this week, and I will link all of them in the description of this, that really woke me up about some of these questions Dr. Chaffee was trying to ask. And it was not for her, and it wasn't about her. It was about all of the people listening to all of the noise, and trying to get clear information when there is a bunch of noise out there. And so if I critiqued him too harshly, he does not know who I am. He'll never watch that video, probably. He'll never watch this video. But I do want to be responsible for what I say, even in my teeny tiny microscopic corner of YouTube. I want to be responsible for for what I say. So the videos that I watched a really wonderful interview that Courtney Luna did with Coach Steven. I will link that. That was about the science and about lab work and what we are to look for and what we shouldn't really worry about and what things could mean, where we might see a higher A1C level or higher blood sugars, what those could mean. Instead of reacting immediately to a change in numbers, we have to take a number of factors into consideration. And in his conversation with Courtney Luna, he really elucidated a lot about that. I highly recommend it. I also watched a YouTuber that I had stopped watching for a while because his style is so harsh. And sometimes it stresses me out, and I'm trying to reduce cortisol in my own body. And so I had avoided him for a while. And by now, if you are in the carnivore space, you already know who I'm talking about. It is Professor Bart K. Now, for all of his harsh style, he is full of scientific information and full of clarity. And what he did was not just address the science, but he addressed some of Dr. Lisa's claims and what Dr. Chaffee actually said and what we can deduce from that and whether or not any of that applies to our own nutritional journeys. And I found it really enlightening and sobering. I will also link to that video. And I have watched 2 videos from Nutrition with Judy, Dr. Judy. You may know her. Right now, I'm watching one that came out 2 days ago called, I'm looking over at my iPad, Does Long-Term Carnivore Ruin Your Cortisol, A1C, and Hormones? It is an incredible deep dive into the sort of biochemical cascade of events in our body. And I haven't finished it all the way, but so far I'm like 90% through it. It's amazing. And I can't remember the topic of the other video of hers, but I'll find it in my watch history and I'll post the link to that as well. So all of these videos were very clarifying for me, and I appreciate it. And they encouraged me to stick to the path that I'm on. I am not going to be looking to reincorporate a significant number of plants into my diet or carbs of any other sort. No starches, no nothing. Anything I eat will either be like, if I get a bunless burger and it comes with lettuce and tomato and pickle, I'm probably going to eat the lettuce and the tomato and the pickle, right? I mean, I didn't get fat from those. So those aren't detrimental to my health. But am I going to on purpose buy lettuce and tomato and pickle to put them with a patty that I eat at home? No, I'm not. I might have a little sauerkraut from time to time, but I'm not going to overload on that. I'm definitely not going to have grains. I'm not going to have starches like potatoes. I am not going to have fruit. And then there's, of course, the chance that I will try to eat my feelings again and have a muffin. I mean, that's always in there, but that is not something I claim as a conscious, health-driven dietary choice. That's a personal flaw. Or weakness, if you know what I'm saying. So there's my update and sort of retracting or correcting or adjusting things I said about Dr. Chaffee and Dr. Lisa. I do stand by the fact that she has every right to adjust her diet in ways that she feels benefit her and to observe positive changes she may see from those adjustments. So I completely stand behind her, and I completely stand behind my experience with a lot of male doctors where they just did not understand anything going on in our bodies. However, now that I have looked at a lot more of the science, I wonder if she might still have some experience to get under her belt with this and some more scientific knowledge to get under her belt with this. Oh, I also watched Dr. Chaffee's conversation with Dr. Berry, which was live streamed last night as of the recording of this video. I'll link to that. That was another eye-opening video that gave me confidence in this path that I'm on and that I hope you're on as well. So that's that. All right. So now with my own updates about, first of all, over the past 3 weeks, I've lost more than 10 pounds of the weight that I had gained. In 2025, I started a slow creep up in March, and then really from May to August, I put on a whopping 20 pounds just because things were so hard around here, around my life. So it was not only, I didn't ever binge eat or anything like that, but I did start to have things that were clearly not healthy for me. And I stopped putting such hard guardrails around the food that I was eating. And I just don't have the tolerance for that kind of thing anymore. And I was not sleeping. I was waking up many times in the night. My heart was racing. My cortisol was just flooding my system. And cortisol itself, by itself, can cause weight gain. And so some of this was just my dietary choices. Some of it was just plain cortisol. Whereas even if I think my diet had been super clean, I still would have gained some cortisol weight and not sleeping and that kind of a thing. So that was that. And then, in October 9th, I started to take creatine. And now Dr. Berry and Dr. Chaffee talked about creatine in their live stream. And I'm not a doctor, but they were dismissive of taking extra creatine. I needed it. I mean, it really helped me even as I was cleaning up my diet. One day when I'm fully optimal, can I lower my creatine dosage? Possibly so. However, it's really helping me now. So I had to not accept their advice about creatine. I am going to continue to take 20 grams a day. So I started taking that on October 9th. I expected weight gain because I knew that my body would start to hold on to water to hydrate the muscles. And that's my understanding of one of the things that creatine does. And I just accepted that and knew that I would get healthier eventually. And in fact, was getting healthier. But some of that was just going to show up on the scale in a temporary increase. So over 3 weeks, I gained about just under 7 pounds, and then it took on the creatine, and I had cleaned up my diet, so I was not gaining 7 pounds from other things. It was the creatine, but I was calm. I was fine. I weighed myself most days of the week, maybe not every day of the week. And then it took me 3 weeks to lose that 7 pounds. And then since then, I've lost 3 more. So over the past, well, really, in the past 3 weeks, I lost all the creatine weight plus 3 more. So in the past 3 weeks, I've dropped 10 pounds. So I'm very happy about that. So it was a total of a 27-pound weight gain in 2025. And so I've lost 10 of that. Now, before I started the weight gain, I still really needed to lose 20 or 25 pounds. So what I am doing right now is not like clawing to get at a goal. I'm like, this is just my life now. It's just my life. I need to keep track of things. Now, my neighbor's lawn guy is here. And if you hear him in the driveway right next door to this room that I'm in, I'm sorry. Also, my dog, Luna Rose, might freak out. And so if you hear her bark all of a sudden, I think I've calmed her down, but she may bark. And I apologize in advance. Except that I didn't do anything wrong, so I don't really apologize. Rather, let me express my sympathy to your ears if you hear a sudden sound. How about that? All right, so I have also adjusted my evening routine, additional supplements, and my morning routine, and how I work in activity throughout my day. And I've talked about this in the past 2 videos that I have uploaded as I try to gain my health back, and I want to address that again. So I had a conversation with my son, and he's like, before we talk about your morning routine, let's talk about your evening routine, because your morning routine starts in the evening. And he's 21, he's about to be 22, and he was just so smart about that. So in the evening, I do get home, and about mid-evening, I put on blue light blocker glasses most nights. I'm not perfect about any of this, but most nights I try to do that. I also don't really eat dinner. I like to just have a good fasting window in the evening. I just need that time. And so if I am hungry, well, let me put a caveat on that. If I am hungry, I will eat a little something, and it will be protein with some fat. So some beef, really, and not that much, because I will have had a lot of beef earlier in the day. Also, I'm taking my vitamin D3 supplement plus K2. I'm taking 10,000 IU of D3, the Now brand of supplement. If you're familiar, it's the orange and white bottle. Pardon me, my throat. And that needs to be taken with a little bit of fat, and taking it in the evening helps to allow the D3 to do its repair work in your body overnight. So instead of taking it in the morning, I take it at night. And if I ate in the late afternoon, I just take the D3. But if not, then I'll have a pat of butter, or if I've had a little bit of meat in the evening, I have the D3 with that. So there's that. And I put on the blue light blocker glasses. I try to relax. I change my clothes. I take a shower, blah, 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 all that kind of thing. And then I take part of my magnesium supplement in the mid-evening as well, so that I'm not taking a bunch of supplements with a bunch of water right before I go to bed, which would be a disaster and not helpful, because then I'm getting up 2 times to go to the bathroom. So I try to take some of that supplementation in the evening. I'm trying to get over 400 milligrams of magnesium, and that's been a little bit wonky, what I've been taking, because I've been trying to use up magnesium that's in the house in different forms. And so I've run out of my bottle, and I'm expecting another bottle tonight. What I did now with this new magnesium is I ordered the magnesium from Bioptimizers, and they are not a sponsor. I have no sponsors on my YouTube channel as of this date. If you're watching this in 3 years and I have become wildly popular, then I might have a sponsor. But right now, there's no sponsor. So Bioptimizers, I've just heard a reference to them, and they have a magnesium supplement that has all the forms of magnesium in it. So I'm trying to get more than 400 milligrams of magnesium in, and I'm splitting that dose right now. And then so that's my mid-evening routine. And then, optimally, you're not on any devices in the evening, but that is just not me. That is not my life. During the day, I have a part-time job, and I have other things to take care of. And I will often listen to a podcast when I'm at work, and I'm taking in science and history and education and religion and politics and all of that heavy duty stuff while I'm doing my admin job at my church. And then, when I'm not concentrating more specifically or in a meeting. At night, I kind of like a little mental dessert. And so I will sit in my bed with my iPad on and I will crochet. I love to crochet and watch, Friends or Frasier or Desperate Housewives or Seinfeld or whatever. I don't know. So I don't have to think too hard and don't get stressed out. But then a little bit before I go to bed, I will then take my actual pre-bed supplementation, which is the rest of the magnesium, 3 grams of glycine, kava root, and melatonin. And I have just added L-theanine in, and actually I'm taking the L-theanine now with the mid-evening supplementation to relax me. So I've needed to add all of these because I have had to throw everything at my brain to shut it down. I read a description of somebody on a Facebook ad somewhere, and I didn't buy that product, but she described if you've been through any kind of trauma or emotional trauma, your brain starts to view bedtime as an emergency. And that is what I was experiencing. Like my body was trying to relax and my brain was saying, okay, I'll take over and worry about all the things to stay hyper vigilant, to make sure you don't get harmed in any way. So, but if I'm not being chased by a tiger, I don't need that. But my brain was not shutting off. So I've had to experiment with different supplements, sleep and relaxation supplements, to just knock my brain out to do that. And so that's why I've added melatonin and that kind of thing. So I now have started taking a time release melatonin pill. And then I also have melatonin gummies. The gummies are for if I have to wake up in the middle of the night. If I wake up at 2:30 a.m., which I do a lot, it's just what it is right now. I don't have to drink water. I can just lean over to my bedside table, take a melatonin gummy, and go right back to sleep and not have to get up and get water or even drink water from my bedside table. In any case, so I'm doing that just to kind of help me stay supine, as they say, overnight. So that is what I'm doing to go to sleep. And then right before I go to sleep, I take my devices and move them into my office, which is the room that I'm in right now, and put them on my desk. Now, my husband has been wanting me to do that for years, but I don't like to be told what to do. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't like to be told what to do either, right? In fact, he doesn't like to be told what to do, which bothers me because I like to. Anyway, let's all laugh about that. But once it was my idea, then I have happily moved my devices over to the office so that the reason for this is not necessarily at night, it's for the next morning. And this was another suggestion by my son. He said, you need to make it harder to pick up the phone first thing in the morning. And you need to look at other light sources besides your phone first thing in the morning. You need to get up. If the sun is up, go look at the sun or turn on a lamp, whatever. Get up, walk in around the house, go get whatever, and do other things before you pick up your phone. So moving my phone to my office has helped me be more intentional about when I pick up my phone. Now, I still do because there are things I take care of first thing in the morning. So I will get up. And I've been able to get up earlier now because I'm waking up at night less frequently. I'm still waking up most nights about once a night, but I don't lie awake and toss and turn most nights, except for 3 nights ago, and I'm going to talk about that. So I've moved my devices into this room, and then in the morning I get up. My sweet husband brings me coffee that he has brewed for me. That is so nice. But then I get up and go get water. But before I do that, I usually walk around the house, go to the kitchen to see if the coffee's being brewed, that kind of a thing. I pet my dog Luna Rose, that kind of thing. And then I want to weigh myself first thing, and she's about to bark. She's going to bark in a minute at the lawn guy for our neighbor. And I'm annoyed. In any case, Luna Rose, she's going to bark. All right. So I will come grab my phone to go weigh myself because I upload the data from when I step on the scale onto the Renpho app. I have a Renpho scale. It measures much more than body weight. It is very useful for me. It has these beautiful charts and it tracks, and it's really nice. And I do that every morning. I know a lot of people say throw the scale away, but you know what? When I know every morning I'm stepping on the scale, it causes some accountability in my brain, and I am at peace with fluctuation. I mean, I lost 2 pounds and then gained 2 pounds pounds and then lost 3. If I know that, I'm fine with the fluctuations. It's great. I just know that long term, I can't control the little 1 to 2 pound ups and downs. I can't control that. I can only control behavior that gives me the best odds at getting optimal health, including optimal weight. So I just don't even worry about the ups and downs, but getting on that scale every morning keeps me accountable. I also am wearing like this cheap knockoff ring. It's not an Aura. I ordered it off of Amazon. It does not require a subscription. It does have an app that you don't have to subscribe to. So they're probably selling my sleep data to China, but I mean, I don't care. I wake up in the morning and I look at my sleep chart, and my sleep has consistently improved, and it measures, and it knows when I'm awake. It knows my REM sleep. It knows deep sleep versus light sleep. It knows all those things, and I can check that in a chart the next morning. And it's been very useful. And another reason why I check that every morning is that, again, it motivates me to have good sleep hygiene the night before or in the middle of the night. If I wake up, I don't pick up my phone. I don't come in here to pick up my phone. My phone's not on my bedside table. I'm motivated to see a really beautiful number in the morning of good sleep. So there's that. That's what I'm doing in terms of my evening and morning routines. And then I'm going to end this. And also my sugar cravings have gone away. I also stopped taking the creatine gummies because they have sugar in them and they were stopping me from getting into ketosis. I stopped those and I've been in ketosis for 4 days in a row now. And so I think I'm going to give my sons the rest of those creatine gummies and I'll just use the powder. And I am going to end with a little spiritual lesson. I did sort of wrestle with the Lord for more than a couple minutes in the middle of the night the other night. And, I was telling God, I was asking God for things, and he reminded me of the story of Mary and Jesus at Lazarus' tomb. And she said, and I was asking God for things. I was kind of begging God for things. And he said, remember at Lazarus' tomb. And Martha said, Lord, if you had come, my brother would not have died. And he asked her, do you believe in the resurrection? And she said, I know that there is a resurrection to come. And he looked at her and he said, I am the resurrection and the life. And what he was saying to her is, am I enough for you, Martha? Did I say Mary a minute ago? Anyway, it's Martha. It was Martha. Am I enough for you? And God does want us to go to him for things. He is a good, good father, and he wants to bless us with things. But we have to know that he is enough first. And we have to trust his timing and what he gives us and what he withholds from us, because we don't know what's best for us as much as he does. And me being able to sort of let go, it was a terrifying prayer, because I was saying, God, are you asking me to not ask for these things? And he was saying, no, no, ask for things. I'm a good father. But what you have to be willing to do is surrender these things and know that I am enough, and be willing to ungrasp. And when I was emotionally eating and having cortisol and sleep issues and that kind of thing, I was in a state of grasping, of grasping and fear that I would not be taken care of, that I would not be loved, that I would not have what I needed. And God was saying, listen, I want you to look at your grasping hands and ungrasp them and look me in the eye right in front of this tomb where Lazarus was stinky and smell the stink, and let go of the grasping, and know that I am enough for you. So I hope that was a blessing to you today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope to have better updates coming up, and I love you all. Goodbye.